Hey there, you're listening to You Still Going On About That with Rob Israel and Joseph K. You can find us anywhere you could download podcasts. You could also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at YSGoat. Thanks for listening. I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that?
All right, Joseph. What are we going to talk about this week?
We are going to do, Blue Velvet.
What's that, Joseph?
It sounds scandalous, doesn't it?
I guess. I mean,
is
that a song?
Yeah. It was, and I guess I probably should have looked this up right out of the gate with I should have looked.
I watched the movie. I don't know why I'm playing stupid here. Like, what's that? Like, I have to go watch the movie now. All right, hold on. Let me go watch the movie. All right, I ran home. I'm back.
Do you feel shaken?
I'll tell you this. Warm beer makes me puke.
Right?
It does, actually. No joke. I remember in high school going to a party, and there wasn't anything around except warm beer.
Yeah.
And guess what? Dennis Hopper was right. Warm beer makes me puke.
Oh,
I threw the fuck up. I drank one. I tried drinking a second one, and I ralphed.
Yeah.
I never puked from beer. I think I puked from alcohol if you drink a shit ton.
Sure.
But I mean, I never puked like that before. You do not drink warm beer. If there's one thing Dennis Hopper from Blue Velvet,
a little life lesson,
Frank Booth has said.
Yeah.
The good man, the good word of Frank Booth.
Yes.
Warm beer makes me puke.
Right. Well, I have a beer.
I think I might be quote. Am I saying the quote right?
Gosh. You had said, is that a famous quote? And I remember that
I've
quote.
heard it being used in, I swore, it being used,
in punk songs.
Or something,
yeah.
Industrial music, or I swore, Howard Stern or someone uses, that line. There's a ton of stuff that Dennis Hopper's character says in that movie that has been, snipped and sampled and used in things. Because, his character is insane and he just curses and says all kinds of crazy shit.
Well, it's on that note, my fond memory of Frank and beer and cursing is when we were in high school. This movie came out and it was kind of a big hit amongst the artsy crowd, and we would play a game called Pabst Blue Velvet. And there's a scene in this movie where Frank says memorably, Kyle MacLachlan likes Heineken. And Frank is like, fuck Heineken, Pabst Blue Ribbon. And so every time Frank would say the word fuck, you'd have to take a drink of beer, Pabst Blue Ribbon.
And then you'd die.
Well, I'll tell you, for the first, because Frank doesn't really appear until 30, 40 minutes into the film.
Right. But then his entire appearance is literally the F word.
Yeah. And
he does, 90% of his dialogue is
the word fuck, yeah. And so, for the first half hour, you're sitting there and your beer's getting warm, right? And this is probably a meta comment. And then by the time Frank starts letting loose, you got a pound of warm beer.
And you're going
to be puking.
Yeah.
So
why don't we go, we just jump into it.
Yeah.
I'll let you run this a little more. Why don't you explain what the hell Blue Velvet is?
Blue Velvet. Blue Velvet is, it's a David Lynch movie.
From 1986.
1986.
Yeah.
And this was surprising to me, because when Blue Velvet came out, I thought David Lynch he was already David Lynch.
Well, he was, actually. Obviously Eraserhead.
Yep.
He did Elephant Man.
Yep.
He already did Dune.
Yes.
He must have did something else.
No, he did, in order, Eraserhead, 77, Elephant Man, 80, Dune, 84, and Blue Velvet, 86.
So he went straight from Eraserhead to Elephant Man?
Yeah, which is crazy because, look, Eraserhead is a psycho movie.
Well, I was reading up about that. The interesting about it, because who's that actor who plays in? He uses a guy
Jack Nance or something.
Yeah, he died I don't know. He would use him a lot in this movie.
Right.
But I was reading up about Eraserhead, how it was basically almost like a glorified student film.
Yes.
And it started filming, I guess, it was supposed to be something that was supposed to be a couple of weeks, and it ended up taking him 5 years to film.
Yeah. And it's bananas. You can't even really describe Eraserhead.
And the funny thing is, I don't think I ever actually seen it.
Right.
All I remember from it was as a kid going to Movie Land, USA, the video store growing up, and I would see the box with Eraserhead.
Right.
And for some reason, I swore it was in the horror section.
Sure, it could have been.
It's not a horror movie, though.
It's horrifying. I mean,
but it's not a horror movie. Yeah, there's a baby in it.
Yeah.
It's all fucked up.
Right.
But, and
right.
he had the crazy hair.
Yeah.
The Jack Nance character, like Eraserhead. And I thought it was like a horror movie, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Freddy.
He's going to erase your head.
He has an eraser head, and he's like, I'm Eraserhead. Me.
I remember that.
I know that's not in the movie.
That line from The Dead Kennedys, Too Drunk to Fuck, was that like you bawl like the baby from Eraserhead. It's like right in the lyrics.
Okay, cool. And then I remember growing up, I saw, again, having cable, watching really young as a kid, I saw Elephant Man way too many times as a small child.
Well, you go from Eraserhead, and Elephant Man was a very serious...
Do you know who produced Elephant Man?
No.
Mel Brooks.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, that had that had like Anthony Hopkins, and wasn't like Helen Mirren in it, and
there's a lot of people. Yeah, John Hurt plays the Elephant Man.
Right.
He looks great in the movie. That was actually the only movie. A little hint, a little inside baseball on Elephant Man. It's the only movie that required John Hurt to have no makeup.
Wow. Yeah. That is good. Well, I did read that The Elephant Man was the movie that prompted the Academy Award for makeup. That there was no award to give it, and so then the following year...
We got to give it something.
We got to give it something. So...
Really? Makeup award didn't exist?
Now that you're saying that incredulously, I'm pretty sure that...
I mean, you might be right. I don't know.
Okay, so he went from Eraserhead, crazy, to Elephant Man, which is a pretty straightforward film.
Almost made Return of the Jedi.
Almost.
As
if in a more perfect timeline, he did.
Google, guys, if you're watching, watch David Lynch's Return of the Jedi trailer.
Yeah.
Someone made a trailer.
Oh.
And it's so fun. They basically just took like Return of the Jedi and just did like they would slow down scenes.
Nice.
Like they did something with like Wicket walking through the woods, which like making fun of like how you would see like the bugs in Blue Velvet.
Right.
And it's like super slowed down. I highly recommend you watch that.
Yeah.
I am not an animal. Like it's yeah.
Well, he did. He did, and then he did Dune, which was bonkers, but that was a legit sci-fi.
It bombed.
Yeah, but it wasn't David Lynchy the way I
it's funny
think of David Lynch.
Blue Velvet, is that the next movie he does?
Yeah.
It's interesting because like Blue Velvet to me ends up becoming really his like prototype or like what everyone perceives to be David Lynch.
It starts there.
It really starts there,
yep.
Which is interesting because he already was David Lynch before that. But I mean, it's a weird mix of movies, you know.
Yeah,
it's like
it really is.
I always thought when I was a little kid watching Elephant Man, I thought the movie was from the 30s.
Oh yeah,
because it's shot in black and white,
right?
And I was a dumbass little kid.
Right, and that's back when the world existed in black and white.
Right.
It's like, yes.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so
I honestly thought the world was in black and white when I was little.
Yeah, right. So he did the 3 movies that he did kind of in a row that, in my head, kind of constitute like peak David Lynch. He did Blue Velvet in '86, Wild at Heart in '90, Fire Walk with Me in '92, and then a few years later he rounded out with Lost Highway.
I'll be honest with you, I saw Hollywood. Was it Hollywood Ending? No, what's that?
You're thinking of Mulholland Drive.
Yeah. Is it Mulholland Drive?
Well, Mulholland Drive and Inland Empire are 2. He did 3 Los Angeles movies. He did Mulholland Drive. He did Inland Empire, and I think Lost Highway was also in Los Angeles.
Yeah, Mulholland Drive. Okay, yeah. So, what's interesting about that movie is it's a weird movie because it was really a pilot that ended up failing as it was supposed to be a TV show on like Showtime or I don't know, some cable thing. And when you watch the beginning of it, it becomes more of like a movie in the last half, but the first half, you feel like you're watching it and like the way they introduce the characters. Yeah. It's like you're being introduced to all these zany characters. The laugh track, that was weird. The Rover showed up. I didn't expect that. But it's like you're being introduced to characters and it's like, okay, well, I guess I'll be seeing that wacky landlord in multiple episodes.
That crazy monster guy behind the dumpster will come back.
Because it makes no sense in the movie because there was no further adventures in Mulholland Drive.
Right.
So the crazy monster guy never shows up again. It was just weird shit. But let's just focus on Blue Velvet.
Right. So Blue Velvet it's weird. On one hand, it's a noir. It's like a detective story.
But he's not a detective.
No.
I always thought, I never saw Blue Velvet. I like seeing clips of it. And I saw it was like, I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, is this the first time you saw it?
I've never seen it.
Oh,
yeah, that's
okay.
why I want you kind of like, man, this
Sure.
one more because like, I watched this and I was telling my wife, I'm like, I feel like this is like one of these movies that like I need to like watch multiple times to really do a dissection of it because I mean I was able to get like the gist of it. I had an understanding what it was.
Right.
I remember when I was a kid growing up, my mom would like talk about the movie and I wasn't like allowed to watch it because it was like Isabel Rossellini's naked a bunch of times in the movie and Dennis Hopper just.
He's fucking Frank.
He curses up a storm, but not as much as my dad cursed growing up. So, right. And you know what?
Call it a wash.
What?
Call it a wash.
Yeah, so it was fine.
Well, on one hand, it's like weird. A murder mystery.
Isabel Rossellini used to walk around my house when I was a kid.
Naked and
really weird. Very strange. I had a horrible childhood.
Well, on one hand, it's like a murder mystery and Kyle MacLachlan like stumbles upon a mystery and he can't tell if Isabella Rossellini is a damsel in distress or a femme fatale. But on the other hand, it's like a searing critique of Reagan's America.
Oh, it is?
Well, yeah, because it's like it's in 86.
Yep.
And it opens up and it's like fucking perfect America.
It's like it looks like white picket fences.
Blue
skies.
Like,
it's kind of like the 50s, or again, what we are being told the 50s is that perfect, diners and like everything's like nice and yeah.
No, it's a weird mix of, and David Lynch does this occasionally. It's a weird mix of decades, and if you think about it, that's kind of true because like
because I was like, what year is this movie to take place?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, okay, like this is the year 2020. Not everyone is dressing as if they're in the year 2020. Some people walk around and you're like, oh, they look like that they wore that in the 80s. Because people don't dress just of the year they're currently in.
Yeah.
So that's like normal.
We're not all wearing silver suits.
Exactly. But in this, you have like a lot of it looks like the 1950s. Mm-hmm. Frank Booth and his gang look like 70s gangsters, kind of, or like maybe even 1960s.
Yeah.
They're more modern. Kyle MacLachlan's character seems like a modern kid, like a 1986 kid.
I wouldn't say that.
Laura
Dern looks like she came out of like La Bamba.
Yeah.
Like 50s, like high school movie. Like, oh, gee, Johnny, are we going to go to the drive-in today, Johnny?
Well, the critique of Reagan's America is that everything on the surface looks nice and perfect and a throwback to the 50s and everything's... But, like, one of the very opening scenes is, like, here you are in perfect Bill America, and there's a firefighter in a fire truck with a Dalmatian waving by.
And in the end, he does the same thing.
Yeah. But, like, they kind of pan down to the ground, and underneath the ground they're walking on.
Well, the dad... Okay, so the
dad has a stroke.
Is that what happens?
Yes. He at first, it looks like he's smacking a mosquito.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so he's got something stuck.
Well,
he's like watering... Well, his wife's just sitting in the house, and I swear that's Kyle MacLachlan's mom. So I swear that Kyle MacLachlan's mom's just sitting in the living room the whole time. In that chair.
Yeah.
She never gets up. Am I wrong? There's an aunt.
Well,
is there an old aunt or something too? That old.
They
lady?
are just sitting. There's two old women, and there's a great thing where they're like, "You aren't going to like some bad neighborhood," and Kyle MacLachlan's like, "No, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to walk around or something." I think they might just be sitting there.
Yeah,
but
the dad is doing his lawn, watering, and the hose is like stuck in the bush.
It's kinked, yeah.
And yeah, it happens real quick. I might have turned my head, but like, yeah, the next thing he's like on the ground and like the dog's barking.
Right.
And I love when it's like David Lynch. The dog's like slow motion of the dog barking, and it's hysterical. But yeah, then it goes underground, like you said.
Right.
And you just see all those fucking bugs just like chewing the like whatever.
Right. Well, it's weird because like, okay, so it's perfect America. But then you see a hose, and it's kinked. Yeah. And all this tension is building up. And, like, quickly you realize, like, people are just barely keeping their shit together. Because, like, that's the underlying thing, is that, like, we're all pretending to be perfect, but tension is building, and then his fucking vein pops or whatever, and he has a stroke, and then you look under the ground, and you're like, no, this isn't Perfect Bill America. That's just like the facade. It's like fucking infested and rotten and vile underneath. Yeah. And that's kind of like the gist of it, because like Reagan's America was like, hey, everything's perfect and good, but it wasn't. It was like real bad.
It was never good.
No, but that was that was what we were told, or that's what was presented.
You know, the stay positive bullshit.
Right.
You know, sunny, optimistic.
New day in America, or new morning. Right.
It's a form of bullying.
Right. Yeah. Well, then Kyle MacLachlan visits his dad.
Yep. In the hospital. Right. He's all like, he's got the... It's weird because he can move his hands and everything. Mm-hmm. He can't talk. He's larynx or whatever. And he's got the halo on. That's why I'm like, what the fuck? I thought something whipped him and snapped him in the back of the neck or something. Yeah. Because he's got the halo on. That's what they call it.
Right.
But I don't know if he can't walk. Or he's in the hospital the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Does he ever even get out of the hospital?
At the very end, he's like recovered when Kyle MacLachlan gets together with Laura Dern.
Okay. Oh, you just spoiled the whole movie.
Right. Well, okay,
so... Spoilers, guys. It's from 1986.
Kyle MacLachlan...
And I'm sure you're not going to be listening to us talk about Blue Velvet if you didn't watch it.
Right. Well, you might... I mean, I don't know. This might be the kind of movie where hearing about it a little bit before... If you've never heard a thing about it. Like, I just... before we started, I asked my wife, like... Right? And I was like, have you heard of it? And she had never heard of Blue Velvet.
Never even heard of it?
No.
Wow.
No, she... Yeah. Well, anyway, like... So Kyle MacLachlan's dad's in the hospital, and he has like a weird Lynchian moment where he kind of like groans, and so Kyle MacLachlan doesn't have a functional dad right now.
Does he? Oh, that's
right?
Symbolic, right?
It
there.
is. Well,
it is.
Yeah.
And then, and how old is he supposed to be?
Well, there's a scene a little bit after this where Laura Dern reveals she's currently in high school, and Kyle MacLachlan is visiting. From college.
So he's probably like, let's just say he's 19. 18 or 19. He's probably like a year or two into college.
Yes, I would
We're going to say he might just be 20.
Right. He's not of age, I don't think. 21 yet.
Yeah.
Right.
So when does he find the ear?
Well, he visits his dad.
Does he find the ear before he visits his dad?
No, because on the way home from visiting his dad, he's walking through a field, and he sees a fucking severed ear
with
in
bugs
the field.
On it and everything, just
with bugs in it.
Yeah.
And we returned to the ear a few times, but there's a scene subsequent to this where you go into the ear. You know, the camera goes into the ear.
Yep.
All right, so he finds a severed ear, and he looks at it, and he pokes it, and then he picks it up and puts it in a bag, and he takes it to the cop.
That's what I would do.
Right, yeah. So he takes the severed ear to the cop. Now, I'm going to give a little exposition here in like quick order, but he takes it to the cop. The cop's like, well, that's an ear, you know. And he
literally says that.
Right.
He's like, well, that's a human ear.
And it's so straight, you know. It's like, and then they take it to a coroner or an autopsy guy, and the guy's like...
Well, they're trying to figure out I guess they could tell if the ear was attached to a dead body, or if the person's walking around with no ear.
Right. Kyle MacLachlan's like, what can you learn about this ear? And the guy's like, it's just like a student film or whatever. And the guy's like,
what's midichlorians?
You could learn the gender. You could learn this. You could learn if the guy was alive or if he was... And then the guy's like, well, and also it looks like the ear was cut off with scissors. And which is like a detail I did not need to hear. Because that's terrifying. So then...
Talk about a haircut.
Right. Well... Okay, so then...
I said a haircut, not ear cut.
But then Kyle MacLachlan says, well, keep me up to date on the progress. And you understand that the cop is Laura Dern's dad.
Yep.
And they kind of tangentially know Kyle MacLachlan's dad, because it's Lumberton, North Carolina.
Like 6 people that live there.
Right.
And that bird.
Yeah, right. And then he goes on his way, and he goes back to the hardware store, and he meets the 2 workers, the 2 Eds.
Does he work for the hardware store?
His dad owns the hardware store.
Oh, okay. One of them is blind.
Yes. Now that's weird, because my theory is you have the ear, severed ear.
Yep.
Then you have the blind guy.
Yep.
And then the next thing you see is Kyle MacLachlan go pick up Laura Dern, and she says to her friends, don't say anything to Mike, my boyfriend. And so you have this hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil.
Ooh.
Well, like, all at once, like, it's all sensory stuff.
Right.
Like, ears, and I'm blind, and don't say anything. And so, like, you get the idea that, like, the town, I don't mean in the supernatural sense, but has been, like, anesthetized. Like, we see no evil, because, like, there's super weird stuff happening in this town, and no one is talking about it.
Well, there's daytime and there's nighttime.
Yes.
And, well, there is daytime and nighttime. That is a thing. We all experience that. Unless you're a vampire and you're stuck with the rules of the night.
Right. Yes.
But we, as human beings, have the ability to...
We walk with impunity in the sunlight.
Or dance in the dark.
Right.
But no, there is, like, a distinction with the town.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it becomes a different movie once So, I guess, yeah, he visits the hardware store, and then I guess he's an exterminator?
Well, that's a weird thing, too, because, like, bugs are a huge thing in this movie, right? Like, there's a lot of, like, fun. I don't know if it's fun or if it's... Maybe not all of it's intentional. Look, maybe David Lynch, had no idea, like, I'm going to do hear no evil, speak no evil. Maybe that's just something I'm making up in my head, because I looked for it and I didn't see anybody writing about it. But there's a lot of bug stuff going on. And he was, like, exterminating bugs at the hardware store, but I thought it was just, like, I would sweep the floor. You know, that's not his job or anything. Although he picks up Laura Dern.
Yep.
And they go to a diner, right? And he says, I got this idea. Like, I want to find out about this ear. And
yeah, Laura Dern's, like, super wholesome in this movie.
Yes.
And there's a point to that. Like, she always wears pink. She looks like she comes out of a 50s movie. Like I said, she looks like...
Poodle skirt.
Yeah, do you remember La Bamba, the girl that dates him?
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of like...
She looks like Sandy from Grease.
Yeah.
Basically.
Not the bad...
Oh, not
leather,
the hot one.
Not the leather Sandy in the end.
Yeah.
What is it? Tell me about Stud.
Tell me about it, Stud.
No,
yeah.
not that Sandy. Just regular old Sandy. You know.
Yep. Regular old girl from Australia.
Yep. Yeah.
Then the dingo's got her baby and it all went to hell.
Yep. That's what happens.
No, and he comes up with a plan. He's like, look, I got a plan. And she's like...
Elizabeth Warren.
Well, yeah, he's like, I got a plan. And this plan, airtight. Right? Nothing could go wrong with this plan.
Okay, what's his plan again?
He gets out of Laura Dern's character. He's like, I got to find out about the severed ear. Because who wouldn't want to find out?
If I found an ear in the if I picked up an ear in a field,
you're goddamn right. I'd want to know about the severed ear.
It's like when you find, like, an object and you want to find out if someone's going to pick it up.
Exactly.
You know what they say? Like, if nobody claims it, it's yours.
Yeah.
Like, he gets to keep that ear.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, he can sell it. He's like, look at my 3 ears.
At what point do I get the ear?
Yeah. It's like, that's how it works.
And Laura Dern's character says, look, the one name I keep hearing, and I can't swear to it, is that there's a singer named Dorothy Valens, and she has something to do with this.
With the ear?
With the ear. And with the person, and so Kyle MacLachlan's like, okay, I gotta go figure out what's going on, and he wants to sneak into Isabella Rossellini is Dorothy Valens. She's a nightclub singer. He wants to sneak into her apartment and stay there and spy on her while she's living in her apartment, which is like.
That's normal.
A million kinds of fucked up. Like, even back in the day, that was pretty fucked up. Like,
well, yeah, it's weird.
Right. And Laura Dern's like, well, how are we going to do this? She lives on the 7th floor of the Lincoln Apartments, all right? And Frank's character, he's Frank Booth, which is like, I think that's kind of a weird Booth, Lincoln type of deal. Like,
oh, yeah, right? I've heard that. Yeah, the whole John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah. So, he wants to sneak in there disguised as an exterminator. He's going to spray for bugs. Laura Dern is going to knock on the door pretending to be a Jehovah's Witness while he's spraying for bugs.
Yep.
While Isabella Rossellini is distracted by the door, he's going to jimmy a window. So I guess he can climb 7 floors and sneak in the window or whatever. And then he's going to hide in Isabella Rossellini's closet and spy on her. And Laura Dern's like, okay, I'm in.
That sounds like a great plan.
Sounds so awful.
Yeah.
So they go do it, and he pretends to be an exterminator, and he sneaks into the apartment. And Laura Dern is about to knock on the door. She's going to keep her. We assume she's going to keep her part of the plan. But a man in the yellow jacket knocks on the door.
That guy shows up a bunch of times in the movie.
Yeah, and he's just called like the man in the yellow jacket.
Yeah.
And I don't know this for a fact, but I think you remember in True Detective, the Yellow King, and like it's supposed to be like a death-like figure.
Wasn't he like a neutral character too? Because he shows up during. He's one of the only characters to show up during the day and at night.
Yes, but he's, and I guess we're jumping to a spoiler here. He's one of the chief bad guys.
He's the guy that's like sitting in the apartment that's all like cut up.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that later.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that scene's super weird.
Yeah. Well, and they're all... So anyway, he... later on that day, or later on in the evening, Kyle MacLachlan sneaks into Isabella Rossellini's apartment.
Yep.
And he hides in the closet, and she comes home, and she takes a phone call that's pretty weird, and... she's like, "Mommy loves you," and she's very distraught. And then she like gets mostly undressed and kind of writhes around on the floor a little bit.
Yeah,
and
she have a wig.
Did she?
It's like, her hair's a wig in the movie, right? Because I swore there's like a scene where I'm watching it that she puts the wig back on when Frank shows up.
That could be
like,
yeah,
she's wearing a wig because her hair is actually like straight and not as long,
right?
And the hair she has in the movie is like kind of frizzy, and that's not how she is, or as far as I remember.
No,
other things, and I swore her. I mean, I'm not saying she is the character. Actress wearing a wig. That's the character. I mean, like the character in the movie is wearing a wig.
That stands to reason. Now, in true disclosure here, I've seen this movie like a million times, and I rewatched the whole thing, and then I listened to the whole thing, like I'd listen to a podcast or something. And when I rewatched it, I did legitimately rewatch it, but like there'd be times when I'd be looking things up and trying to figure stuff out.
Can't crush those candies.
Well, I wasn't crushing candies, but I was like I'd be looking up things, and that's when I was like taking notes and stuff. Man, back in the day, I thought Isabella Rossellini was like supremely beautiful.
She is. I remember. My mom told me one time.
Yeah.
Like, again, this movie, I'm a little younger than you. This movie came out in 86. So I was like 8 or 9 years old.
Right.
And so that's why I said to my son, "You want to watch this movie with me?" No, I'm kidding. He did not watch this. "Daddy, what is this?"
Right.
"Daddy, what is this?" No. "I don't like this, Daddy. This is not... I want to watch...
Detective Pikachu on another channel.
Yeah, please watch that. I never wanted to watch that more than ever.
This
Then put on Detective Pikachu, and he's like, "Warm beer makes me puke."
Pikachu.
Yeah.
"Don't look at me."
Fuck.
Pika wants to fuck.
Pika, motherfucker.
It is a very upsetting movie in a lot of ways.
Well, but I remember my mom was like, "Isabella Rossellini is the prettiest woman ever," and I was like, and I didn't know what she looked like, and I saw her, and like I think I don't remember her from Blue Velvet, but I remember I think the first time I really got to see her in a movie was that movie Death Becomes Her.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which I don't like.
Yeah, I don't care for it either, but I know the movie.
It's the one with Glenn Close and
Goldie Hawn?
Goldie Hawn, and she's in it. She's like the witch or something that gives him the... And she's pretty in it. But I remember watching it, and I was like, "You ain't gonna lie, Mom. I think you're wrong. You're wrong, Mom."
Right.
I'd say she's pretty, but I don't know if she's the prettiest person in the world. Now, I don't know. That's a very subjective statement.
Yeah.
She's very pretty.
Right. How old were you at the time?
When she told me that?
Yeah. Or when you made the discovery that she may not have been the prettiest person.
Well, came out like early 90s, so I was like 12.
Right.
I mean, I thought she was pretty, but I didn't...
And you're like...
I
introduce you to Kelly Kapowski from
yeah,
Baymont.
Yeah, Lisa Turtle.
Right.
You know. Can I introduce you to Small Wonder?
Right.
That fucking robot. What was her name?
Yeah, right.
That fucking horrible show. Oh, God. Yeah. You got your Elizabeth Rossellini. Well, guess what? I got Dana Poole from Different Strokes.
Yeah, right?
Post Different Strokes.
Oh, mercy. All right, so, yeah, I thought Isabella Rossellini was just amazing. And she had a real aura about her. She was kind of mysterious.
Yeah.
So, anyway, long story short, and we won't go through the whole movie like this, but long story short, she catches Kyle MacLachlan in the closet.
And that's kind of like where the movie now, like...
It launches into fifth gear.
Because it's like... It becomes like... I was like wondering, like, is this movie ever been compared to, like... Somebody said Wizard of Oz. But when I was watching it, I was thinking almost like a little bit of Alice in Wonderland. Like...
Oh, absolutely.
Just somebody getting dragged into a different world.
Down the rabbit hole, yeah.
Like, further he goes down, and it's like he's not... And it's interesting because then he's like back in the real world, which is the daytime.
Yeah.
And the nighttime, it's like a different world, and he's a different person. He's like, he's not this innocent, happy-go-lucky Reagan America.
No,
kid
he's been transformed.
Where he's hanging out with fucking Laura Dern, and that scene in the end of the movie when Laura Dern starts crying.
Yeah.
And she sees that like he's been having sex with
Isabella Rossellini.
And well,
not just sex, like they
straight up just down and dirty.
Yeah,
and then and also just doing all kinds of fucked up shit. All right, well we'll go into so she drags him into the apartment.
Yeah. Well, let me just real quick. His next movie, Wild at Heart, was like there's Wizard of Oz shit everywhere in Wild at Heart.
Okay.
And that also has Laura Dern and Nick Cage.
I'll have to watch that.
It's a great one.
I've never seen that.
It's really, really good. And there's literally there's a floating orb like the witch.
I think we might have to do an episode on that. But I might have to watch it first.
Right. Okay, so she pulls out this big butcher knife.
Yeah.
And she drags.
But we haven't been introduced to Frank yet.
Not yet. Well, not that we know of. He was the guy on the phone.
Right.
Right.
But we haven't. But he hasn't shown up.
No. And so she pulls Kyle MacLachlan out of the closet.
Yep.
And she understandably is like, what are you doing? Why are you staring? Does it say you're kicks? Do you sneak into women's apartments? But she keeps saying like, who sent you? Now Kyle MacLachlan at this point, he doesn't realize all the shit that's going on, and we don't realize yet that Isabella Rossellini's whole family's been kidnapped. It's her husband that the ear was cut off. And Frank, who we've yet to meet, has kidnapped her husband and her child and is holding them and basically turning Isabella Rossellini into...
He's probably the one who cut the ear off.
Right.
Yeah.
And that becomes very clear soon because he... Well, okay. And so Kyle MacLachlan's just like, I'm just trying to solve... And so anyway, she pulls out his ID, she identifies him, and then she makes him strip down and she fillets him. Right?
Yep.
She goes down on him.
Yep.
And she's like...
And then he went...
Yeah, well, yeah. He's
skadoosh.
He doesn't know what to think, obviously. Clearly, Isabella Rossellini is super messed up in the head.
And a very forward lady.
Right.
Very forward.
Yes. Very, something. And
there's a lot of criticisms. It's funny, actually. I did watch some reviews. I was, going back and, watching old Sisker and Ebert reviews.
Right, yeah.
And Roger Ebert, talked about, her character, he felt like it was, a horrible depiction of, a woman.
Sure.
Siskel's well, they didn't force her to do the role. She,
right.
It's not she signed up to do the role. It's not they were actually doing this.
Yes.
But it was just interesting. And I read it, this, it's, kind of sexist to saying, it's a little, her character... treated like shit. Basically.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's a lot more to it than that. I mean, she was basically being held captive by Dennis Hopper, and
yeah, it is weird. I mean, I 100% get that criticism, but obviously it's a critique. You know what I mean? There are these normal, maybe not obviously, but there are these normal people living their lives, and everything's white picket fences and everything, and no one's really taught. But all this stuff is happening, and no one's really doing anything about it per se, you know. And I think that that's kind of like Laura Dern said initially when Kyle MacLachlan was asking about Isabella Rossellini's character, Laura Dern was like, she lives in an apartment like real close to your house. It's right next to you. That's what makes it so scary. Right. They're so close. And you're thinking like, these people are like right there, but nobody sees them.
The ear is the ticket to this wonderland.
Well, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, well, there is that scene after...
Because if he never found the ear, he wouldn't he wouldn't be part of his like underworld or part of the storyline. Right. He'd just go about his day.
It was just a sheer chance, you know, that he saw this ear. And then
sheer ear.
A sheer ear.
A sheared ear.
So, anyway, Isabella Rossellini and Kyle MacLachlan are going at it, and then there's a violent knock on the door.
Yep.
And Kyle MacLachlan's like, oh, you know, what? Did you order a pizza delivery? Or but it's not. Isabella Rossellini freaks out immediately, and she's like, you've got to hide, he'll kill you.
Yeah.
So he gets back, Kyle MacLachlan gets back in the closet. Isabella Rossellini is like throwing his clothes in there. And then the door knocks again, and in walks Frank Booth.
And he's got the gas mask going already, right?
Yeah, he drags it in with him, and he almost immediately starts
huffing on it or whatever.
He's like, very quickly, he's like, where's my bourbon? You're such a shithead, you don't remember anything. He's like terrible immediately.
Yeah.
Pacing, he's like an animal. He's like a tiger in a cage or something, just like marching around. And he's dressed not like anyone else in the movie yet, you know, because you had Kyle MacLachlan.
Well, he's like a gangster.
Right, but he's like a caricature.
Like a lounge lizard or something, too. Like,
like a 70s. He reminds me of like a 70s movie gangster, you know, like a Robert De Niro era type of. So he's huffing on a gas mask, and it gets like super bizarre real quick. He starts calling. Well,
where's my bourbon? That's a good question.
But he starts calling her mommy, and he has this super.
Oh, fuck anything that moves! And you probably have heard that in some industrial album from the 90s or something.
That what you just? Is that?
I said I think I feel like it's from like Revolting Cocks or something.
Yeah, okay.
It has to be like. I swore, like, I know a fucking anything that moves is used. Like I said, Dennis Hopper's character says, first of all he does is curse the whole movie. Literally, it's just fuck. It's like, dude, potty mouth.
Right.
Seriously, you know? Talk about Blue Velvet, right?
Yeah, jeez, working Blue Velvet.
Working blue the whole time. He's like, there's like tons of, his stuff has been sampled the hell out of. This is a very sampled movie.
Well, he says too. I guess I didn't mention this. I just remembered. He says when he finally sits down and sees Isabella Rossellini, we see him together for the first time. He's like, "Now it's dark," and he says that a couple times. And you had mentioned that like 10, 15 minutes ago that there is a daytime and a nighttime.
Yeah,
and like you hear that kind of throughout the movie. Like, well, now it's dark.
You don't see him during the day.
No.
He only exists in the night.
Right.
And a theory to, like I said, a lot of people say that Blue Velvet is like a prototype to Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And it's almost like some people even say, is it tied into Twin Peaks?
Well.
And there's like theories too that like Dennis Hopper's character is the Bob.
Killer Bob.
Bob. Not to say that he is. It's just there's like similar themes and like because he say to Kyle MacLachlan, I'm just like you, or I am you, or whatever. It's like the darkness.
Well, Killer Bob could have inhabited Leland in Twin Peaks, and also could have inhabited Frank in Lumberton, North Carolina.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's not 100% connected to Twin Peaks. I'm sure they didn't even have the idea yet. Who knows? But
thematically,
like I said, this is Blue Velvet is the first of what people think of when it comes to Lynch. Like I said, yes, he did those other movies,
right? But this was the first Lynch
like
movie,
where it's like a little bit of crime, a little bit of like the 50s, 80s, whatever, 50s mix of like dates, old towns and everything. And
but you're right. This is where like where it all began. This is where David Lynch became David Lynch, like we know him. And hell yeah, like in Twin Peaks, it was a lumber town. And there's all those scenes of like lumber and
the log lady.
Yeah, the log lady. And
I never got into that show.
Oh, I did.
Yeah,
did you watch the Return?
No.
Oh,
I never. I'll be like I said. I've seen a couple of his things. I'm fully aware of him.
Right.
So I was like, I'm gonna fucking finally watch Blue Velvet and we can talk about it.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, what's the one with Nicolas Cage?
Wild at Heart.
I've heard that one's an amazing movie.
That's really good.
So I want to check that one out. But let's just go on about Blue Velvet.
Yeah.
So Frank shows up. Obviously, where's my bourbon? And he's huffing on that fucking
nitrous or helium or whatever.
He's saying like he's just fucking off his rocker.
He
fuck
is.
me, mom. Is that what he says?
Yeah, he's like, baby wants to fuck.
Baby wants to fuck.
Right. He wants to call Isabella Rossellini mommy. He wants her to call him both baby and daddy.
Interesting fact. About this movie.
Oh, okay.
Dennis Hopper just showed up on the set saying all that stuff, and David Lynch just recorded it. He actually wasn't even hired to be in the movie. It wasn't until after they were done filming.
Gotta pay him.
They were like, well, Dennis Hopper, they didn't even have to pay him.
SAG is pretty clear on this.
Yeah,
he needs a credit.
He's here. He said, there's a bunch of industrial bands from the 90s. I want to take clips from it. And
okay, so it's hard, unless you see it, it's hard to describe how unsettling it is. Because...
Well, he's just this madman that comes in huffing fucking... He's walking around with a tank.
Yeah.
Huffing out of a mask.
Right. And it's weird because, like, it's a lot of people have said... I read a few critiques today, not too many, but... he said that like Kyle MacLachlan's character is walking around with a tank to kill bugs, right? And Frank is essentially a bug, but he's like huffing that shit. He's
they say he's you can't kill him like that.
Yeah,
it ain't gonna work.
Exactly. So then Frank eventually leaves, okay, and Kyle MacLachlan comes back out of the closet.
Well, he's peeking through. He's not in that world yet.
Right.
He's seeing a bit of it.
And then he's like, well, I'm going to be heading out. Like, after Frank leaves.
Yeah.
And Isabella Rossellini's like, no, please stay. I'm scared, or something like that. And so he kind of consoles her. And then she's like, touch me. And it gets, like, pretty graphic. She's like, touch my breasts. And, she is a little more graphic than that. And they kiss. And then she's like, hit me. And she wants Kyle MacLachlan to hit her. And it's not, like, played sexy or anything. It's not, like, this consensual, like... It's just, like, super psychologically damaging, like, hit me, and it's all messed up.
Yeah.
And Kyle MacLachlan, like, doesn't want to, but he also... And at this point, I'm thinking... Because, like, if you've seen this movie, if it's your first time seeing it, let's say it's a brand new release and you don't have a lot of context, you don't know what this is, right? Yeah. Like, it seems like a detective story, and
I always thought it was.
Yeah, and you don't know if, like, it is Isabella Rossellini the damsel in distress, or is she the femme fatale? Is she going to be the person you need to rescue? Or is she going to lead you into your doom?
Right. A little bit of both.
And it's probably a little bit of both, right?
Well, one thing we've left out was one of the things that Frank, when he's there, he wants her to shove a piece of blue velvet. Is it blue velvet from her dress or whatever it is, her nightgown? Shove it in his mouth, the blue velvet.
Right.
And I don't know. There's like theories about it, like he. It's like he's so in. That's what he needs. Like he doesn't want to be this way or something like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like the blue velvet is the thing, because like when she's performing later on, he's sitting in the audience. He's like rubbing the blue velvet,
right,
looking at it. And I mean, he's a kook, but like there's like little like this is the thing that's keeping him
heart of
even
gold.
like he's a heart of gold. You know, some people say the guy comes in and saying fuck constantly and beating the shit out of people, huffing gas.
Exactly.
You know what? But sometimes he
just needs the right woman.
He serves soup at a kitchen. You know.
Yeah.
Helps old ladies cross the street.
Well.
You know.
Yeah. Woof.
There's a scene they cut out where the robin breaks its arm and Frank slowly heals it over a 6-month period. And he lets it. He goes, "Fly, you fuck!
Right.
Fly, you fuck!"
Right, and that's a shame because I think they had to cut that Mike and Mechanics song "Broken Wing" from the soundtrack.
Yeah. There's a whole hour extra of him healing a bird.
Well, another thing that happens here, and
that's a joke. None of that was in the movie.
You see, at one point, Frank pins Isabella Rossellini down, and he starts cutting, like, waving scissors in her face and making snipping noises all around her. And then, like, at that point, like, look, the audience should clearly be like, oh shit, the guy previously said an ear was cut off, maybe with scissors, and here Frank is with scissors. And then, like, 2 minutes later, he's like, tell that to Van Gogh or something. Like, I thought that was a little much. You know, you need, like, we get it, okay?
Frank on the nose there, or on the ear.
Frank cut off the ear. And like I said, I've seen this a whole bunch. I wonder, like, when you saw this for the first time, did you kind of piece it all together quickly? Like, oh, Frank kidnapped her husband and child.
Sure.
And, well, see, I don't know if, yeah. Well, anyway.
I don't know.
So, Kyle MacLachlan is stuck with Isabella Rossellini, and then he leaves, and that's kind of the opening arc
But then he goes back to the daytime.
He goes back to the daytime.
And that's when he sees Laura Dern again, right?
Yeah.
He has his little daytime adventure.
Yeah. But he's different now.
Yeah.
You know, like he's
the hero's journey.
It is.
He's been reborn.
It is, but like it's funny because like you're 100% right.
It's like Luke Skywalker's aunt and uncle are dead.
Well, he's traveled.
He's gotta go.
He's traveled into hell, so to speak. He's on that hero's journey, but Katniss had Haymitch, right? And Frodo had Gandalf, and Harry Potter had like Dumbledore, and Luke had Yoda or Ben.
Yep.
But Jeffrey, Kyle MacLachlan, his dad's incapacitated.
Where's that scene where like his dad's face just gets wider?
Yeah.
What the fuck was that? He's like weird David Lynch shit.
Yeah.
And you see something with his camera and the face is just like.
Some of Lynch's stuff I appreciate all of it, but some of it I just don't get.
Some of it I think is just like
for effect.
I'm a film student.
Well, but like
this one's for the film.
This
you will all be doing this.
But I don't. But like, it is the hero's journey. But like, Jeffrey doesn't have a guide. You need everyone on the hero's journey has a guide. Cop's like, I guess,
yeah, sort of.
But he's like,
he told him there was an ear.
Yeah, he did.
A human ear. That's a
he
guide
said
right there.
Specifically, like, I can't reveal anything about this, and you can't talk to me about it. He says, like, right up front, like, hey, you know, normally I'd be your guide, but no.
Yeah,
like, you're on your own.
So he's a guideless hero.
Yeah.
Guideless.
Right. Which is weird. That's like a very...
Well, it's easier to be, taken advantage of. Easily, because he does fall into that dark side, and does not get out, almost.
Right. Well, it's like Alice in Wonderland. Alice didn't have a guide. You said this was more like Alice in Wonderland.
That's what I always thought I heard that. Someone said Wizard of Oz, but like, he doesn't have a Tin Man or a...
No, I don't think so.
I would say it's probably more like Alice in Wonderland in that everything is confusing.
Curious or incurious. Or...
Everything's there to confuse him.
Well, and there are rules. Like that's a great example, and I hadn't thought of this, but like there's that scene in Alice in Wonderland where Alice gets like tricked into playing games. Like you get tricked into playing croquet, or you get tricked into playing this, and the stakes are immeasurably high.
Yeah.
And here, Jeffrey, Kyle MacLachlan's character, gets tricked into taking a car ride.
Okay, so in the second scene in the dark, in the nighttime. He goes to see her perform, right?
Yes.
Or did he know she was going to perform, or? And is he with Laura Dern at that point, or?
I think he's kind of with Laura Dern, And I think he knows... He knows that... well, is he following Frank, or is he going to see... I think he goes to see Dorothy Valens, Isabel Rossellini, and he notices that Frank is there.
Right.
Right. And that's very unsettling because Frank is this like...
Well, he didn't know that he'd be there, but he sees him in the audience.
But he sees him in the audience.
And he's like really into it, and he's rubbing that
velvet. Yeah. Like dry humping his table. Like it's
But again, it's like I said, there's like more to the character. Like it's like he is like a lost soul or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like we're not supposed to feel empathy for him.
No.
It's not a good, but there's like still like it's like 1% holding on to like whatever humanity he might have left or something.
And I don't think this is the greatest example, but it's almost like those scenes in Beauty and the Beast where like Beast is like holding Belle captive. He's terrible,
classic
but he kind of loves
classic rape love story.
It kind of is like at its most core dynamic, it's a similar thing. Like, I'm going to keep you... I have your family hostage, and I'm going to keep you to...
That is Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
I always thought that was a fucked up...
It's a real fucked up thing. Now,
it's a settler, and when they're all like... Let's save that for the Beauty and the Beast.
Right, yes.
Tell us all this time. Soon you'll be raped by a beast.
Yeah. Right?
And break that curse so I don't have to be a fucking teapot anymore. Just do it for old teapot and Chip.
But look, if you can work up some empathy for the Beast, then it's not a huge leap to say that that's
the Beast ended up being somewhat honorable. Frank is a straight up
Frank's human trash
douchebag.
but that's the confusing part here, because you're right.
Well, you remember when the Beast said he would fuck anything that moves and that warm beer mix,
and Chip like scampers into the room.
That duster,
right?
The sexy duster.
Yeah, the sexy duster.
Yeah.
So, but it is that weird. You do see a side of Frank, a very, very thin sliver, where you're like, there is something here. Like, nothing to...
I mean, you could say that any monster...
Any well-drawn monster.
Is still a, human, I guess, in some way.
Well, okay, so oh, man. All right, so, but at this point... I don't want to say all the cards are on the table, but you know what movie you're watching.
Yeah, well, so then he meets her after the performance.
Yep.
And that's when Frank shows up.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Frank doesn't know who he is because he was hiding in the closet.
Yes.
So you forget that.
Yeah.
But this is the first time they meet.
Right.
And Frank's got his little gang.
Yep. And it's a screwy gang.
Yeah, but Jack Nance, is that his name?
I believe so, yeah.
The guy from Eraserhead.
Yep.
And he's in all his other movies until he died in 96.
Right.
Do you know how he died?
No.
I remember this. He got he was like a Dunkin' Donuts or some shit, and someone got into an altercation. Someone hit him, and then he shortly died after. I think they probably gave him whatever they did caused an aneurysm.
Probably recreated the opening scene from Blue Velvet.
Yeah,
just smacked.
Well, he was one of the goons. I'm just gonna pull up the list. You can explain that. Wow.
Well, I mean, it's an odd gang, and it's like you had mentioned this when we were talking about the movie earlier. The people Frank surrounds himself with they're misfits. You know, I mean, some of them look very threatening. Some of them just look bizarre.
Well, I would say he's a bit of a misfit too.
He is a bit of a misfit, yeah. But it's like they're scary only within the context of they're all around Frank, so they're tolerating Frank. And
well, if they're hanging out with him, and then they can't be any good either. Brad Dourif.
Oh, okay.
And you know him from Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
He was Wormtongue.
Yes, yeah.
And Chucky.
Yeah.
And he does that laugh. And this movie came out a couple years before Chucky. And he does that laugh in Child's Play, too.
That's funny.
Kind of whatever that laugh is. Yeah.
I had not pieced that together until you mentioned it, but I see it clearly now.
Yeah.
Well, and then the movie just sort of takes on legs from there. You see Kyle MacLachlan.
Well, he makes him go... Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Go on a ride. Yeah.
Yep.
So he's kind of forced to go in the car with them.
Yeah. And it's very unsettling.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's Yeah, it's not very... I would imagine it's not a comfortable moment for this character.
No.
And then they go to like a party.
Yep.
And that's when you meet Ben.
Yep, Dean Stockwell.
Which is... So I only know him, really, from Quantum Leap.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's he's like the guy who kind of helps him.
Right. Al is his name?
Something like that,
yeah. Well, and he was in the filmed version of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, right? Was that him who played the President of the Galaxy?
I don't think so.
No?
No. Dean Stockwell, I think, was dead already.
Dean Stockwell?
Yeah, he's like a famous... Supposedly he was like a famous kid actor when he was younger.
Really?
Yeah, he died...
Then I'm confusing this with a... Who was in Moon? That David Bowie's kids film Moon.
You're missing... Oh, that's
I'm
a
confusing
much
him.
younger person.
Yeah, I'm confusing him.
He was probably like a kid when Blue Velvet came out.
Oh, shoot.
I don't know his name, but that's not him. Now, Dean Stockwell is much older. Isn't he dead?
I don't know. I don't know at all. Why don't you tricorder that?
Yeah.
I remember the Ben character, who was played by Dean Stockwell. I do know that much. He was just a super bizarre character. He wore makeup, and he seemed
he's got like an earring, but he's just a strange... He looks like he's not... Like he's high as fuck or something.
Yeah, like super high, and he's like kind of ambiguous in his sexuality, and he seems like a nice guy. He doesn't seem like a bad guy. And Frank is just like, you're so fucking suave to Ben. And Ben does a lip sync to an old Roy Orbison song, which sounds like it might be cool, but it's very unsettling. And it's a bizarre series from there.
Right. One of them is.
All right. Well, I was
a lot younger and alive.
Jeez, I've confused Dean Stockwell with Sam Rockwell.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Both fine actors.
Sure.
All right. So
yeah, his character is super weird, and that party's super weird.
Yes.
It's like, and that's no offense to, but it's like filled with very.
It's just bizarre.
It's like these women there, and they all look like they're like older, out of shape women.
Yeah,
it's like the best way I could describe it.
They're like knitting club members.
Yeah, like knitting club members that still want to hang out and lounge, or something. Like bridge. They play bridge and. I don't know.
You know who
bridge or something?
You know who the Dean Stockwell character reminds me of is Buddy from Kids in the Hall. Flamboyant kind of lounge singer guy.
Yeah, the gay guy.
Yeah.
Well, he is played by the...
Right.
Yeah.
But that's...
Well, he's singing, but he's not really singing. He's like lip sing.
He takes like a light, like an old electrician's light, and
I don't even... Like, this scene's super weird. Is there any messages behind the scene? Is there any...
I don't think
David Lynch shit that I should be aware of? That, like... Or is it just... As Mo Sislak would say to them Simpsons, this scene, it's just weird for the sake of... It's weird for the sake of being weird.
I do think there's a purpose, and the purpose is, like... But not like any deep one. It's like... You're further down the rabbit hole, and now you realize, look, Frank is not this isolated aberration, right?
Frank's there's a whole bunch of people like him.
Frank's...
his gang.
Exactly.
This world.
There's a whole ecosystem underneath Lumberton,
North
Carolina.
When I was a kid growing up, there was this shopping center not far from me down the block, and I used to always go into this place. It was like... I would say it was like a smoke shop or whatever, but, they had candy.
Sure.
And a little kid, that's all I saw. It was a place to get candy, shitty cheap toys.
Yep.
Maybe a comic book.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When I was little. And I think it might have also been a luncheonette in the back.
Oh, okay, nice.
But there was it was amazing. There was a rumor that I found out as I got a little older in that whole shopping center. In the basement of this place was an illegal casino.
Really?
Right. I never got 100% confirmation.
Right.
But I believed it.
Yeah.
Because it's very believable. And that's kind of like what this is. It's like it's after hours. It's a little weird.
Yep.
Like I remember when I lived in Chico, I remember going to some party after hours and some place, and it was just weird. And it was like a weird cast of characters just showed up.
Right.
And I'm like, I was only there like once or twice. at this thing, I was not a regular.
Oh, right. You don't want to be a regular.
Not really. I don't. It's an interesting cast of characters, and that's what this is. It's like Jeff sees this interesting cast of characters. Dean Stockwell and this weird party, and it's like funny. It's like no one's doing anything. They're either drinking or it's not like this is like, oh, this is the scene. I need to be here. This is a.
Well, it's funny because two things. One is we talked about this kind of last week because like Miracle Mile was like this, where it's like you have a guy living his regular life in the daytime, the waking world, and then you have this weird kind of dream-like...
When he's up at 4:30 in the morning. And...
Yes. Yeah. And we saw that in The Matrix, and we saw that in They Live, and we saw that kind of in Fight Club, and we saw that, a lot of films have this.
And that's what I mean by, the illegal casino.
Yeah.
And again, I grew up in, the 80s, so you still... It's like you got these... It's like the 80s is, an interesting decade, because I remember growing up when I was growing up in the 80s, it was, it was always... What is retro now is obviously the 80s and 90s, but when I was a kid, retro was the 50s.
Oh, yeah.
It was celebrated, in a way.
Yep. Happy Days
was 70s and early 80s Grease and everything. So you have all these people who live in, maybe that's what this movie is too. It's like the world still kind of looks like the 50s in the daytime, but at nighttime, it's not the 50s anymore.
Right.
It's like something else. And when I was growing up as a kid, it's like it was the 80s, but people who were older than me, they looked like they didn't come from the 80s.
Yeah.
They looked like they came from a different time.
Definitely.
Because they did.
Yeah, that's
and I don't
true.
know how that is. I don't know if that holds true now, because I think things have blended so much.
Yeah.
But it's funny, things from the 50s still look like they're from the 50s. Things from the 60s still look like from the 60s. But once you start getting in 70s and 80s, it kind of just starts to bleed. And there's still some weird little, obviously, real corny shit.
Of course, yeah.
So this movie, when he's in that scene, it's like everyone in that scene is not young.
Right.
They're all
they're all older. Yeah,
they're
true,
older.
Yeah.
Everyone in there. There's no young people
hanging
out. There's no. It's not a hip scene and there's nobody Jeff's age.
Yeah,
hanging out with this group of people.
That's funny. Yeah, they are all older.
Yeah,
and he's noticeably young, and that's very obvious.
Right.
Huh. Yeah.
And I don't know. I just found that interesting.
That is. Did you? This is kind of unrelated to that, but did you, when you were watching this, was the film for you kind of dark and muddy?
Muddy?
Well, not muddy, but okay, the daytime scenes were in perfect clarity to me. Mm-hmm. Not like HD, but they're
shot very bright, very colorful.
The dark scenes,
picket fences and all that.
Yeah, and some of it was intentional. There are scenes where it'd be pitch black, and then you'd see Laura Dern kind of emerge from the pitch black and in stark relief or whatever.
Right.
But I wondered some of it just seemed intentionally difficult to make out. I couldn't tell well, is that her dress or is that a tablecloth or is that
right. I'm sure.
Yeah. Do you think that was intentional, or do you think
that
was... Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Or a happy accident.
Well, it was just weird, because it was a lot of the movie feels... And Frank will even say, it's dark now. And it is dark. And there's light and dark is such a big theme in the movie, Right. It's kind of an interesting one. I said earlier, I watched the whole movie, and then I listened to it. And it's weird, but there's when you're watching the movie, it doesn't feel like one of those movies where there's long silences. But when you listen to it, you really notice that there's some scenes where there's not a lot of talking.
Yeah.
It's
Well, it's a movie. It's visual.
Well, yeah, but
yeah, I got you.
I listened to Miracle Mile. I did the same thing. I watched it, and then I listened to it I was listening to a podcast. Yeah. That's a pretty talky movie. This one was not.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's weird.
It's a Lynch movie. I could see lots of slow and tones and weird noises building up.
Yeah.
So they leave the party.
Right.
They leave Ben.
Yep.
You don't ever see Ben again.
No, he's a great character. I always.
Is that is that the equivalent to the gibberish room in Twin Peaks?
Twin Peaks. That's a good point. I don't see why not. I do remember I had a friend in high school. He wasn't a real friend of mine, but he was like a guy I really looked up to. And he had an awesome like punk band called the Social Whores and stuff. And he loved that movie. Wayne Murphy was his name. And he would always quote Frank, and he'd be like...
That's what I do.
So suave.
It's weird. I did, the other day, I was at my son's school.
Yeah.
And I just started doing my favorite Frank quotes.
You fucking fuck.
You fucks. I fuck anything that moves. Not a good idea.
No.
Do not quote Frank.
That'll play well at the PTA.
Anywhere. No. Literally anywhere. Just don't quote him.
Right.
The only place you quote him is if you start a 90s industrial band.
Right.
And play clubs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, okay, so they leave and you never see Ben again.
No.
And what happens after that? They leave there, and at that point has Frank kissed Jeffrey yet?
I think so. Yeah.
Which is like a very weird scene.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sex in this movie, right?
Yeah, this movie's chock full of sex.
It's chock full of sex.
Chock full of it. Sex and violence.
Well, and it's weird because it's like sex is never portrayed in this film as good.
No,
right? Like
not really.
It's all like
it's all violent.
All violent.
Yep.
And hitting people, and it's shameful, and it's done at night.
Yep.
And like, there's a lot of like. No,
he gets his ass kicked, right? Doesn't Frank beat the shit out of him?
Yep.
And then he wakes up.
Frank kisses Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Almost like a Fredo kiss or something,
yeah.
And then the gang beats up Jeffrey, like, pretty bad.
Yeah.
But, like, back in the 80s, like, again, I think David Lynch himself and his work is, like, real comfortable with, whatever sexuality anyone...
Yeah. I don't know. When I watched that, I didn't think of, like, oh, that's, like, what's the...
It seemed very transgressive to me at the time.
It didn't come off like... No, but I'm saying, like, when I saw that, I'm like, I didn't think of it as, like, oh, is Frank gay? Like, I didn't think that at all. It felt more like this is just an act of aggression.
Well, it was, but that came right after Frank was, like chilling out with Ben, and Ben was like a very sexually ambiguous character.
He was yes,
right, and it was like, I don't know, there was like just a lot going on, and it was like at the time within the context of the 80s and stuff when this was made, and what was supposed to be Reagan's America.
Was this movie rated X?
No, I think it was rated R.
Was it NC-17? It didn't exist yet. No, well, Sex, Lies, and Videotape was the first NC-17 movie, I think. Yeah, okay. Or maybe something on Mickey Rourke.
Angel Heart, maybe. Something
like that.
Yeah.
This was too early.
I
think NC-17 came in more in the late 80s.
I know that that there was definitely some backlash, and they filmed this in Wilmington, North Carolina, and they shut down the town square to do the scene. And there's one scene where Isabella Rossellini walks down the street naked and beaten. And the cops shut them down. They were like, you can't film here anymore. And they had to do something to kind of finish up the film. But yeah, there's a lot of transgressive sex in this. And I guess Jeffrey and Laura, they're seen as kind of wholesome,
right,
in a way. But Laura Dern, what's her name in the movie?
Oh shit.
Well, Laura Dern knows that Jeffrey's seen some shit, and she doesn't love it.
Well, when she sees that he's all beaten up, what does he say?
He comes clean about everything. I forget what he says specifically, but I remember thinking
she's Sandy, which is a perfect name. Sandy
really
seems
Sandy?
her name's Sandy in the movie, and it's a perfect name for her type of character.
Yeah,
it's it seems like something out of a 50s movie.
Yeah.
So Holly song or something,
right? That's funny because Dorothy Valens has a Richie Valens kind of thing to it, yeah, and it's spelled differently, but so she does know, and she's kind of not thrilled about it, but she's going to stand by him because that's what the 50s housewife would do, I guess.
Yep.
Right.
Jeff likes to go out and do things.
Right.
He's got to get it out of the system.
Smack women and have sex with them, and do
hang
nitrous and
Ben.
Hang out with Ben.
Weirdos and
right, popping. Oh yeah.
So real quick though, we were talking about like Ben, that guy Ben.
Yes,
it was his drug dealer.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah.
Makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
A supplier. Yeah.
This is a supplier, so of course he's a weirdo.
Right.
And he probably just supplies the town.
Yeah.
And then they leave, and that's when you said Frank kisses Jeff, but then it's like, he said it's like a freer thing because then they all beat the shit out of him.
Right.
And then there's this woman dancing in the background.
Very, very,
It's very funny.
Yeah.
It's just weird. It's like she's just... is she even with them? I don't even know. It's like 50s music playing in the background.
Yeah.
She's like dancing
it's
while this
crazy.
is all going on.
I think that's part of the thing that's so menacing is that it looks out of control. There's no rhyme or reason to it. You know? And like you would... They beat the hell out of him.
Yeah, and they just leave
pretty
him.
Bad
They like... He wakes up like in an industrial yard or something. Right. All beaten up. And I was saying, like, did he have an earring the whole time? Because I noticed he had an earring on his left ear, and I'm like...
I will have to look for that again. I'm pretty sure he didn't have an earring.
Yeah. This is back in the 80s when if you had an earring, that was a big deal.
Well, he probably woke up... If he woke up with an earring, that was supposed to be, like, even more, he's transformed for good now or whatever.
Now he's a pirate.
Right. Well, he fared better... ear-wise than Dorothy's husband. So we'll say that.
An earring reference. In the 80s, one of my favorite is Alf.
Okay.
I think I might have said this in an earlier podcast.
Sounds familiar, but go ahead.
But you know what? When you got hit, you got to replay it.
Right.
Alf, there was an episode, I think, where the daughter... I thought maybe for a second the son wanted an earring, but the daughter was dating a guy who's supposed to have an earring. And, like, the parents were all like, right.
Like, Willie.
Yeah. And then Alf's like, we had a name for guys who had earrings on my home planet. And everyone's like, there's like a pause.
Right.
Like, what's he going to say?
Yeah.
We called them pirates.
Alf. Yeah. He is the best of us.
He is, and highly quotable.
Yeah.
If you can reference Alf while discussing David Lynch...
Yeah.
You figured it out. I bet if we actually asked David Lynch, he'd probably tell you that if anything's possible, please reference Alf as much as possible when discussing his movies.
I would think so. He probably,
I heard that Twin Peaks was really supposed to be, his original goal was, it was called Melmac.
Right, it was set on Melmac.
But, of course, the suits couldn't handle it.
Yeah, budget cuts.
Yeah, they
gotta do it in Washington.
Yep. Twin Peaks, fine.
So he gets beat the hell out of. The next morning he wakes up and he goes and he wants to bring the cops in. He talks to Laura Dern's dad.
Yep.
And a lot happens here at once because he's going to return to Dorothy's apartment at some point.
Yep.
And it gets, I guess I'm kind of getting some of this stuff muddled in my head right now. Because at one point, he's driving with Laura Dern in the evening, and he thinks he's being followed by, like, Frank. But it's not really Frank, it's Laura Dern's boyfriend.
Yep.
And Laura Dern's boyfriend thinks that Laura Dern has been screwing around with Kyle MacLachlan. But that's not really what's going on.
There's intimacy between them.
Yeah, but
I think, haven't they already kissed at that point?
They probably have. Well, anyway, then Isabella Rossellini comes naked, completely nude.
Yeah, walking out, all drugged out of her mind.
Drugged out of her mind and beaten. And she's like calling out to Jeffrey, Kyle MacLachlan. And Mike, Laura Dern's boyfriend, is like, yeah, I'm tapping out. You know, because he's like, right.
I'm going to skedaddle.
Now, the Wikipedia entry says that Mike realizes that there's nothing between Laura and Jeffrey, but that's not true. Wikipedia, that's a rare instance of Wikipedia not getting it right.
I guess. Wait, Laura being
Laura Dern.
Yeah, you mean Sandy? Well, he probably just figures that woman was Jeff's girlfriend or something. Therefore, I have nothing to worry about here. And this scene's kind of weird.
Exactly. I think that's
I'm just a kid with a varsity jacket. I can't handle this.
Right. Well, it's weird because it's like at this point, Kyle MacLachlan's seen some shit, right? Like he's like deep in it, you know.
Yeah. He hung out in that weird party.
Right. So
he got beat up by a bunch of goons.
Right. Once you listen
he got
to
blown
Ben,
by a weird lady.
Right. So I mean, look, within the course of just a very short period of time, Kyle MacLachlan's been like gone down on by a psycho, sadomasochistic lounge singer.
Yep.
And gone to like a super bizarre party.
Hung out with Frank.
Yep. Done some drugs with Ben. Got his ear pierced.
I guess.
Right. And like
beaten up by
So
Chucky and
when Kyle MacLachlan sees a nude, drugged out, beaten Isabella Rossellini stumbling down the road toward him, he's like, oh yeah. But everyone else on the planet's like, what the fuck? What is going on?
Yeah, this isn't normal.
Right.
Like, to Jeff, he's like,
yeah,
this is my normal.
Tuesday night. You know, this is just what I do. It's who I am.
Yeah.
And Laura Dern, oddly, is like, no, this is what happens with Jeffrey. You know, like, she's kind of like straddling two worlds. Because she's not, I mean, look, she's freaked out, but she's not like Mike. She's not like bolting the scene, right?
Well, her dad's a cop too.
That's true.
I'm sure she's knows some things, even though she's not that pure. But
she did later on become one of the leaders of the rebellion. General Holdo.
The Holdo maneuver.
Yes,
as we learned in Rise of Skywalker.
Right. So, but there's that, you know, and then in short order, we start. Even though there's a decent amount of time left, we start coming to the conclusion of the film, and basically,
well, that's also okay. So they bring her in the car.
Yep. Yeah.
And they wrap her up, and whatever,
Sure.
and then they bring her to the house.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah, of course. And that's when like Sandy starts to realize, like, okay, this isn't just like a friend. These people had like relations. She feels like she was being. I guess that guy Mike. Mike was her boyfriend.
Right.
I guess she had a boyfriend.
Yep.
But I guess she didn't give a fuck about him. But
Probably
she felt
not.
like Jeff was cheating on her. I don't know. She just starts crying.
Yeah.
I guess her world's being. I don't know.
I don't blame her. All right. There's a lot of fucked up shit happened.
Well, I guess it's almost like Jeff isn't what he seems to be.
Right.
Maybe he's like lying, or like, what the fuck is this?
Well, it is weird. I mean, like, if she's like in this 1950s, I mean, no, it's not the 1950s, but if she's like looking for an idealized boyfriend, and the whole thing is set like with these white picket fences and X, Y, and Z.
He's not so wholesome.
Right. He's not so wholesome.
It's not really his fault, though. He's kind of thrown into it.
I don't know, man. It all started when he's like, you know what? I'm going to sneak into this woman's apartment and spy on her.
Yeah, true. Hey, how about this? I'll go disguise myself as a
bug killer.
And then hang out in her.
How about this, Jeffrey? Go back to fucking work, all
right?
right?
Go back to college, you fucking weirdo. Jeez. I know. Yeah, I guess that's true. He ain't that innocent. Who the fuck comes up with that? Hey, I got an idea.
I got a plan for a paper.
I gotta disguise myself as an exterminator, you see?
I got a Mr. Purple on another caper.
Then I'm gonna... Yeah, he's fucking Reservoir Dog. Like, yeah, I guess he's not so innocent. So...
he saw a thread. Okay, he saw a loose thread, and when you see a loose thread, you gotta pull it. But that's it.
The ear was his ticket.
You gotta
the ear was his golden ticket.
Right?
So... Isabella Rossellini gets taken in by she's so fucked up they call an ambulance.
Right.
And she's like falling.
Yeah.
Whatever drug she's on.
She's just,
And she's like, I'm falling! Right. And it gets like dark.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's kind of Wizard of Oz-ish, because she is like...
It wasn't falling...
melting.
Isn't that from... was it Alice in Wonderland, though? Falling?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. That's true.
So then, I guess... After that, Jeff goes to the apartment.
Yes.
And that's okay.
No, that's where he finds the man in yellow.
Which is Laura Dern's dad's partner.
Yep.
Right.
And Isabella Rossellini's husband is dead.
Tied up, dead. And he's like, I don't know. It's a weird scene because that guy's dead. Shit went down.
Right.
And the guy in yellow is like 75-80% dead.
Right.
He's not. He's like
he's not 100% dead yet.
He's all cut up.
Yes.
He's must have been shot in the side of the head, so he's like not 100% there.
Right.
If he's living, it's like
not the way we understand it to be.
Yeah, like it's something's keeping him alive. He's just like it's a weird scene in that aspect. And then I guess he hides in the closet again.
Yeah.
And then that's when Frank shows up.
Right.
And I guess he finishes off.
Yeah.
He kills him, even though I guess the husband was dead already anyway.
Right.
And then the other guy, I guess, like he just kills him.
Yes.
And he's like does like one big last puff.
Nice.
He opens up the door. And Jeff shoots him right in the head.
Yeah.
It's fucking like his whole brain just blows out. Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
It is.
So I guess Jeff had a gun.
Well, didn't he get the gun off of the yellow man?
I guess so.
Yeah. And that's not the whole movie, but that's kind of like the climax.
Right, and then obviously Sandy's dad shows up.
Right.
Last
fucking
minute, holding up with oh look, I'm pointing a gun around.
Right.
You didn't do shit.
Well,
thanks for nothing.
Jeffrey did everything. Like the kid did everything. You know, the adults are.
I think that's probably why, as a kid, even though I didn't see the movie, I always thought that Kyle MacLachlan was playing a detective.
Yeah,
and he's not.
No, he's just a kid.
He's not. He's just
the good adults are useless or incapacitated, and any adult you see is bad.
They're either useless or bad.
Right.
You
know, because like the good adults are useless and the bad adults are running the show, and it's like they're acting like children. You know, like they don't work and they just want their needs satisfied, and they're just kind of like running rampant over the town.
A bunch of fucking boomers.
And it is right? Yeah, right. But it's a very weird dynamic.
Having weird parties with Dean Stockwell.
Yeah, and there's like Jeffrey and Sandy, and they're just trying to navigate this thing, and you know they're doing it, but like they don't have any guidance or any good guidance. And at the end, I guess we never talked about that part where Laura Dern had a dream. It was like middle of the movie. Yeah. Laura Dern said she had a dream that the world had gone to hell or whatever, and then the robins came and ate the bugs, and it was all good again.
Yeah.
So at the end of the movie, Laura Dern
and Jeff wakes up.
Yes.
Well, it's like a happy ending. He hugs her or whatever. Mm-hmm. He's going to be with her, I guess.
Sure.
And I don't know if like a whole bunch of time passed. I guess a little bit of time.
Probably some, yeah.
Yeah. You see, I guess he's with her, and he wakes up in the backyard. It starts with his ear. Did you notice? It starts with his...
Yeah.
It starts with the same ear that was cut off.
Right.
And then it zooms out. And
you come out
him.
of... Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a scene early where you go into the ear.
Yep.
And then you come out of the ear.
And he wakes back up, and he sees, he's sitting in like a lawn chair.
Yep.
And he goes back in the house. And that's Sandy's there.
Yeah.
And I guess she I don't know what the deal. They're living together. I have no idea. But
sure.
With his parents.
Yeah. Well, the dad's kind of recovered-ish.
Yep. The aunt's there. That weird aunt.
Yep.
And there's a scene in the end that's just so fucking funny.
Yeah.
It's that bird.
Animatronic bird.
The shitty silent...
Simple bird.
It turns into like a Silent Life skit.
Yeah.
Where like they're just all looking outside the window and they see a bird and almost like they're kind of laughing. The bird has like a beetle in its mouth. But the bird is so fucking fake looking. Like you said before we talked about podcast. What did you call it?
Toonses.
Toonses is a driving cat.
Yeah.
It reminded me of like...
It's like a puppet or something.
But a bad puppet.
Right.
Like intentionally bad. Like it had to be. There's like... I imagine that they were like... When they made the movie... That they intentionally made the bird not look 100% real.
Well, I wonder because like
right now, like David Lynch is like crying, like I meant that to be like like I thought it would be a photoreal bird.
Well, I wonder if it was supposed to be fake because like they go back, because they've seen the real world, and then they go back to the white picket fences, and they're like, okay, we're cool with being fake.
It's the fake facade, so there's the fake bird,
right?
But the bird's holding a beetle, so it's like. So, didn't that bird show up earlier in the movie? in the trees and they're looking at it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so.
The fake ass bird?
Right.
So you think that's more Reagan analogies?
That's what I've always understood.
But what about like the adults being useless and like the bad adults? And then the ones that are good are just kind of like they're not good. They're ambivalent. They're allowing the bad to thrive by not doing nothing.
Yeah, and that was the time in which a lot of the former liberals of the anti-Vietnam War protests had become like stockbrokers and stuff like that. Like Tom Hayden was a big one, and there were a lot. Like remember the Chicago 8 or whatever with Abby Hoffman and a few others. Like some of those, Jerry Rubin, I think some of them went on to become like the man. Yeah, they became like corporate stooges. And I mean, I'm not making a moral judgment on that or whatever, but I thought that was the criticism, is that like, look, Morning in America, it's not Morning in America. There's a big seedy underbelly that we're pretending not to see.
There's a bunch of Franks.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Franks, and they're here and they're kind of like...
They'll fuck anything that moves.
Yeah, anything that moves.
Warm beer makes them puke.
Animatronic Robins.
And they want to drink PBR.
Right.
Not Heineken.
Yes. So...
really Twins is a Driving Cat.
Yeah.
Style Robin. Like, that part made me just crack up. Like, they're just sitting by looking out the window. And it's just like...
But then it kind of ends...
But it is true about the hippies and everything. I remember when I was young, years ago, I remember talking to someone about this, and they even said, it was like, everyone acts like they're all shocked that a lot of these people, like, yeah, man, I went to, like, Woodstock and everything. But it's like, I mean, yeah, you went to, like, a concert. Like, there's some people who look super into it or whatever, right. And whatever, but that's called fashion.
Right. Some of it was, yeah.
It's like, I grew up with a lot of people who were, like, in the hardcore scene and,
right.
like, punk scene, and now they're like, they put horrible things on Facebook, and I'm like, ugh. They're all a bunch of fucking racist Long Island douchebags. I'm like,
I know people.
My apologies to the racist
Long Island douchebags.
Yeah, apologies to all of them.
Well, I have
not all of them,
a decent number of people that I used to be friends with that grew up to be right wing, malcontents, but like,
I just think like there's like this. And it's like the boom thing, but like it's like everyone expects like that pat on the back, like, oh, you lived during the civil rights movement, you lived during that, but did you participate? Were you there? Right. I mean, go to a concert is not participation.
You know who participated? Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
Yeah, got arrested.
Yeah, he got arrested. He actually was there.
So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm the same way. Like I remember being a kid thinking like, it's immoral to own property and blah, and like I had all these kind of ideals and everything. No, I bought a house.
You're a goddamn fucking boomer.
Right, well, I don't know if I'm quite there yet.
I don't mean like that.
But yeah, I mean,
I get called a boomer. I mean,
right.
It doesn't matter. I think the word is not being used correctly.
It's not being used correctly.
No.
There's only one boomer. She was a Cylon on the rebooted Galactica.
What? Oh, her name was Boomer?
Yeah. Well, in the original Galactica, back in the 70s and 80s, Boomer was a black male commander, I think, on the Galactica. But in the reimagined Galactica, Boomer was an Asian female, and she was secretly a Cylon.
Oh.
Yeah.
A boomer.
Right.
Another boomer is... there was a character in... X-Force, New Mutants and X-Force called Boom Boom.
Oh, okay.
And eventually her name was changed to Boomer because I thought Boom Boom was kind of stupid. Yeah. I guess Boomer was better.
Well, they probably got sued by Dorf.
Dorf.
So that was the girl's name was Boom Boom. Like,
I don't really remember Dorf that well except for the 30-second commercial.
Well, Dorf, while playing golf, had a caddy. And
was
it was
she hot?
It's a very
like
very
a Benny Hill style woman.
Right. Like a Suzanne Summers-esque kind of, and her name was Boom Boom. And she was in all of them. Boom Boom was like, when it was like Dorf on Ancient Rome, he'd be like Dorfus Maximus, and she would be Boomus Boomus or something.
Classic. Yes. Classic.
Never goes out of date.
No.
Fresh as the day it was filmed.
Age is a fine one. Hey, I have a question.
Yes.
What are we at now?
Oh, we're at like $1.30.
Okay.
It's a
talk
good time.
a couple more minutes about
the
movie a little bit now that we kind of went through the gist of it. Would you say Frank would be considered a problematic character? Well, watching the movie, I was like, I had a feeling that Frank would be considered a problematic character.
I would say, I don't know. I mean, I would say, look, some characters are just designed to be shitty characters. It's like...
I'm obviously joking.
I know, yeah. But he is, gosh, he's such a wild card.
He's the thing that makes the movie memorable.
He is. Because, Kyle MacLachlan...
He's just there.
He's just there. He reacts.
He's a
voyeur.
He is the, what do you call it, the classic character, he's your guide.
Yes.
To this world.
Right. He's us.
He's us.
He's our proxy.
We got the ticket. We're going into this world.
It's going to be a dark ride.
Yeah. And first we're peeking through the closet.
Mm-hmm.
Peeking through.
Yep.
Watching a guy saying... something
baby wants to fuck.
Yeah, eating, sucking down velvet.
Oh, fuck me. Yeah.
Puffing a gas mask.
Intense. I read this. The original script said it was helium.
Yeah.
And then Dennis Hopper pulled David Lynch aside and said, look, I do a lot of drugs. This isn't helium. And
I don't want to give you... I've done some things.
And the final
man of experience here.
The final word from David Lynch is that it was amyl nitrate, which was like a club drug at the time. It was like some sort of medical thing that people started using. It was actually the name of a great song by Suede, Amyl Nitrate. Animal
Isn't
Nitrate.
That Poppers?
That sounds right. Yeah.
So you could also look at it as what he is huffing is Marcel Wallace's case in Pulp Fiction.
Like a MacGuffin, yeah.
Yeah, it's just... It's better you don't know what it is.
Right.
It's whatever it is that keeps... It's thing that energizes him. It's weird, though, because when he's hanging out with his goons and going to the party, he doesn't have that with him.
Yeah, that's true.
It's only in the scenes when he's, by himself that he's... Right? Am I
no,
sure?
That
he doesn't have
sense.
the tank with him when he shows up. We're getting in the car... hang out, with Chucky and Eraserhead.
I read some article where they said
but he's doing drugs with Ben. But
I think he's just doing drugs. I mean, I think that So I read some article that said he had a split personality, like a baby and a daddy, and that was
that's why he's Mom,
right?
Baby wants to fuck.
Sure, I mean, I get it. Whatever. I mean, I just think the guy is
he's a fucking lunatic bad guy.
He's the shark. He's the shark in Jaws. Why does he? Why does he do it? Because he's the shark.
Yeah.
That's what sharks do.
Yeah.
They eat people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And he's irredeemable.
Yeah. Why did Anton Sugar walk around with a cow gun and shoot people in the head in No Country for Old Men?
Yeah.
Because he did.
He was just an unstoppable force.
Yes.
Because remember, in the end, he just keeps going.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Even with I think he had a broken leg or something. He just gets up.
He's just an unexplained force of nature. Yeah. And that's what Frank is. Frank is all the shit that happens. Frank's the shit that's happening right now in this town that we don't know about.
The illegal casino going on.
Yeah.
Under the...
Right. He's the chud.
He's the chud.
Not a MAGA chud, just a regular chud.
Just a good old-fashioned
old chud. Yeah, simple chud.
Non-partisan chud.
Well, and I wanted to bring this up too. This is kind of off topic a little bit from that, but the music. This was the first time David Lynch worked with that Angelo Badalamenti or whatever, and he's worked with him ever since. And the music is spot on David Lynch music.
Yeah,
it's if you've ever seen Twin Peaks, you know that music.
Yeah,
right. And this, I guess, David Lynch pulled this guy aside and said, "I want something that sounds Russian but evil." And so I was just going to try to work in a Tulsi Gabbard joke, but I'm not going to. But
she might see you.
Yeah, right. He wanted something like that.
Sued.
And the music is just so good. It's it feels intentionally out of time.
Well, like I said, it is it's what we know of David Lynch now.
Yeah,
it's his first one, and
yep.
I'm sure, we'll revisit David Lynch.
Yeah.
I want to get around to watching
Look, this is a great movie. I love David Lynch. I've seen all of his movies. This is when I think of David Lynch, this is the first movie that comes to mind. If I were telling someone you need to get into David Lynch, this is where I would tell them to start.
Speaking of problematic.
Yeah.
Actually, did you see it? Did you ever watch Louis on FX?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Whatever. It was a great show.
Sure. It was a great show. I feel so bad about it.
Yeah.
Minus Louis.
Let me just say one thing about him real quick. I felt bad for him, and I know that's like stupid because you're like, it's like, okay, yeah.
You can't force people to watch you jerk off.
Well, it's disgusting, but I always, my whole thing about him, I said it's not fair to put him in the same place as like a Harvey Weinstein, or Donald Trump, or fucking Bill Cosby.
Right. No, I agree.
I mean, what he did was disgusting, but the thing he did that made him like, it's like clearly he didn't have good people giving him advice or something. He did this like comedy act like a year later. A year or two later, he came back to like, he started doing like a comedy store. Supposedly he still does comedy or whatever, but like, and he just did this heinous act where he just did these like jokes about the Parkland kids.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, this is probably not the way to go.
Right.
This is not your. Is this your apology?
The apology for it.
Like you're failing at this. You lost me there, buddy.
Yeah.
I always like at first I was like, and like I said, it's not indefensible, but I always thought it was just like, it was not in comparison to those other people. But back. Well, go ahead. No,
I was going to say, look, there's clearly a difference between like Bill Cosby and Louis and Harvey Weinstein. I mean, they're degrees. You're not excusing.
It's like when they say like how there's like those kids that like will send pictures of themselves and then they get thrown on like a fucking sex offender list.
Right.
And they're like 16 and it's like their whole fucking life.
Exactly. Right.
It's like there's got to be another name for that. You can't have like this a guy who's a fucking pedo,
right?
And now you're in the same. It doesn't even matter. It's like
right. Yeah.
Okay. David Lynch was on a bunch of episodes.
Oh, okay,
of Louis. It was the season when Louis gets offered to host David Letterman.
Was it like? Was that season 3?
Something like that. Yeah, I don't remember. It was like they want him to take over for Letterman.
I remember this.
And you find out in the end they were just using him.
Right.
But
he was like a decoy. Like,
he was
not
a decoy. Yeah,
they
never really meant. It was just to get like Letterman not to basically to take like $2 million less or something.
Yeah.
Which is, it's like pay Louis like a couple $100,000 to like not have to pay this guy a couple of million. But he goes to David Lynch plays like a coach for talk shows. And
he can't hear, right? Was that the one where
No, I don't. I think he hear. There's a scene where he's showing him how to like do a talk show, and David Lynch is doing it, and you hear like the sound, and it's just him like going like this, and he's looking at the audience. David Lynch is like playing like a Letterman. What you should do, but then it turns into like very Lynchian. The whole episode turns very Lynchian because then you see like what Louis sees when he looks in the camera. There is no sound.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
It's super fucking weird.
Right.
It's like David Lynch is just like in silence, like. Thank you. Like to nothing. It's like one of the most amazing scenes on TV.
See that.
It's like one of the best scenes I think I've seen on like a TV show.
I gotta watch that again because I remember seeing that.
You can't watch it now.
Well,
unless you want to.
Yeah.
Go to hell.
Right.
It won't be it.
Yeah. I'll wake up and Ben will be singing and so. Look, I love this movie. I like it a lot. It holds up as long as you like understand the rules are different when you're watching a David Lynch movie, But the Blue Velvet's a great movie.
Yeah, not for kids.
No, it's not. Look, and it's not even like because I was thinking when my wife said Amanda said she had never seen it. I was like, oh, maybe we'll watch it, and I was like,
I don't know. If it's like I said, a movie that like. I don't know if you could recommend that.
Right.
As like let's watch this.
Yeah.
It's almost like, it's an earlier David Lynch movie, but there's probably other ones that you could get her to watch first that are not
I think
as intense.
Yeah. I think, honestly, Wild at Heart would probably be the good entry point. Like, because, look, Fire Walk with Me, you got to watch like 2 years of Twin Peaks.
And I heard it wasn't very good.
I liked it.
I just heard from people who were like Twin Peaks fans, they were like disappointed because I guess they never. It was like the series was canceled, and the movie came out, but the movie was really a prequel.
It was,
so it didn't really answer any of the questions that people had. Supposedly. And you know, because you had that cliffhanger with Bob, and, you know, when it's revealed that spoilers to a show.
He was really Leland, Laura Palmer's dad.
Well, also then it was revealed that Kyle MacLachlan's character was like possessed by Bob in the end.
Yes. Well, Dale Cooper went into the Black Lodge, and Bob, as Dale Cooper, emerged from the Black Lodge.
Because he looks in the mirror and he's
starts banging his head and shit.
Did you ever watch the new show on Showtime?
I watched it all.
Was it good?
It was amazing.
Was it better than the series?
It was different. It'd be like it was unsatisfying in a lot of ways. It was unsatisfying in the same way Fire Walk with Me was unsatisfying to people who loved Twin Peaks, because the new one, The Return, had a lot more in common with Fire Walk with Me, and it was just like Dale Cooper didn't really appear in it until the very end, like the last 10 minutes, and you had to sit through 18 hours of David Lynch without the characters you knew and loved.
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
The Dale Cooper character. Okay, you know at the end of Twin Peaks?
Yeah.
Dale Cooper goes into the Black Lodge, and Bob, disguised as Dale Cooper...
I've only seen a little bit of the original Twin Peaks, and I remember watching... I do remember watching the series finale.
All right. Well, the series finale, Dale Cooper, the FBI agent we all know and love, went into the Black Lodge.
Yep.
And Bob, the evil guy, came out of the Black Lodge disguised as Dale Cooper.
Right.
Okay? So, and then Laura Dern says to the audience, basically, we'll see in 20 years. And fucking 20 years later, David Lynch comes out with The Return.
Oh, she really says that in the show? Laura Dern was on the show? Okay.
Yeah. She, No, not Laura Dern.
No, it wasn't Laura Dern.
It wasn't Laura Dern. It was the woman, right. Laura Dern played Diane in the new one.
Oh, she
in The Return.
Okay. I remember the actress name. She was in Boxing Helena.
Yes.
Is that her?
Yeah.
The one that says see in...
Right.
She literally says see in 20 years.
See in 20 years. And then to the day, 20 years later, The Return comes out.
That's really funny.
And so in the new one, in The Return...
Was that more than 20 years?
It was 20 years. Dale Cooper...
Wait, hold on. When did Twin Peaks go off the air?
Maybe it's 25 years.
Yeah, it was more than that.
It was.
It came out a couple of years ago, the new season. And I swore Twin Peaks was off the air in 92.
Yeah, because it went off the air when I was in college.
Yeah. Okay, it doesn't matter.
Anyway.
Okay, so the new series.
The new series, and then... So Dale Cooper's still in the Black Lodge.
But Kyle MacLachlan's in the show.
Kyle MacLachlan's in the show, but he's not playing the guy you want him to play.
Oh, he's playing Bob.
He's playing either Bob or this guy Dougie, who is really Dale Cooper, but has been put into a new person's body, and he forgets how to live. He forgets how to live. He's holding a fork, and he doesn't know how to hold a fork and whatever. And so Dale Cooper, the character you know and love from Twin Peaks, is in this 18-hour miniseries for literally 3 or 4 minutes at the very end. And that's what frustrated people. It's a great...
Well, they were asking if he was going to do another season.
Yeah.
And that show was talked about for years.
Right.
And it was finally coming out Showtime, and it kept on getting delayed. And I guess he wanted to make, originally it was only supposed to be 12 episodes, and it ended up being 18.
Yep.
I guess there was money issues. He wanted more money for the shows. There was all kinds of bullshit.
Sure.
It was just people at that point were they were okay, the fact that they're even making a Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
They've been talking about it forever, and then it's it finally came out. And
there's one episode in particular that was it took place in the 1950s during the, spoiler alert, you find out that Killer Bob was released onto this planet during the Manhattan Project.
I've never seen these shows, so
okay,
but it's fine. I don't care.
When they did the bombs in Los Alamos, the first nuclear bomb, that's when Bob got on our planet, right? And so, but it's
Is Bob a demon or an alien?
He's like a devil demon, and he came from like another dimension onto our planet through the nuclear bomb. And there's like a 20-minute sequence where you just watch a fucking bomb explode in slow motion. Like, and it's like 20. I remember I used to watch these real late at night after my wife went to bed. And like one of them was like, I couldn't believe it. And I kept falling asleep, and I'd wake up during the show. And I'd have to like rewind it, and I'm like, what did I miss? And I rewind it, and I'm like, fuck. And I'd fall asleep again and stuff. I mean, it was like, tough.
He directed every episode?
I believe so. I think he did everything with all of them.
Yeah.
But it's so good. But it's like one of those things. It's like Wheaties. You know, it's good for you. You eat it because it's good for you. It tastes good, but it's like, look, I'd rather be eating Cocoa Puffs or something. But it was good. Definitely worth seeing, especially if you love Lynch and Twin Peaks.
I'm just trying to think like what else he's done recently.
Well, he's not done much. Like I said, here's his entire oeuvre. Eraserhead.
Oh, he did. There was a movie that's supposed to come out on Netflix recently.
Oh yeah,
what did Jack do? It's a 17-minute movie where he's interrogating a monkey.
Yes,
I guess from 2017.
Right. I have not yet watched that. I want to watch it.
The monkey looks cute.
Oh.
My other favorite David Lynch moment was recent, like a year ago or something. He got quoted or misquoted in a
I remember this.
About Trump.
Right.
And people like reacted and said like, what did he said something. He didn't say he was for him. He said like he just, I don't know. It was like, I wasn't shocked. It seemed like something someone would say that's aloof to the world.
Right.
Like,
yes. Yeah.
Like, yes, on the surface, Trump sounds like a guy that, here comes this loudmouth asshole that's going to shake things up. When in reality, he's just going to continue the same Republican agenda.
Yes.
Just under a different name. He's pushing the same bullshit.
Yeah.
It is. Literally all the same bullshit, just with the erratic nature of him.
Meet the new boss, same as the old
same
boss.
Shit.
Yeah.
Like, here's a MAGA hat. It's next time you'll be wearing something else we'll tell you to wear. You wore a Tea Party, now you're doing this. So it just came up this like aloof thing of just like, oh, Trump's just like shaking things up or something. And, you know, it's like, if you even say anything like, I mean, fuck Trump.
Right,
all, like, seriously.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah. But I think, like, we live in this age now where if you say even anything that comes even close to any form of admiration, it like opens, because like to me he is such a polarizing figure. You either you don't like him,
right?
If you say anything that's even positive, you're giving hints that you
or even neutral.
like
you're testing the waters that you might.
He is a very divisive figure. There's not like. It just is. That's what he is.
That's what it is.
And he's designed that way. And so when David Lynch said something, people were like, what the fuck?
Right.
And he came back very quickly and like was like, well, no, I don't support him.
Right.
It took like a day for it to like ferment.
Filter out. Yeah.
And it was really funny because he said, you know, I guess he has like charities and shit like that.
Sure.
So he was probably like, oh fuck, I got like, there's people who are probably like, fuck you, I'm not going to donate any money to your charities. And, like, I'm not going to, like, you know, this is like, and especially, it's like, this is David Lynch. Like, we don't expect him to be, I don't know what his politics are. I don't give a shit. I think he's probably, like, libertarian-ish.
Probably. I mean,
He's a fucking Hollywood rich guy. I mean, like,
I think he's, like, beyond that. Like, look.
He's, like, an
when you have enough
artist
money,
weirdo, you know?
You don't need to worry about, I mean, you should.
He's not living the normal life.
Right.
He hasn't lived a normal life probably ever. You know, it's like...
Exactly. If you asked me to, like, state my opinion on the rules of rugby, I don't have a real strong opinion. Right? Yeah. Like, it's just not my...
exactly.
I don't live in
I don't know what that is. Yachting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Exactly.
I can't
Do you think
answer.
that they should cut the length of the jib on the new rule? Sure.
Yeah. I mean, right? Is that good, bad? I don't know. I like the erratic nature of that jib, and you know,
I've often used the.
So when people like that say something, to me, it just came off to me as aloof.
Yes,
but at the same time, I wasn't shocked either. It was like, okay, this sounds like something someone would say.
Sure.
Who, if somebody else was president or whatever, it wouldn't make a difference.
Yeah.
But I posted something, and I remember on my Instagram, and some guy's like, oh man, what did he say? It was like really funny. This douchebag like wrote back, he was like, David Lynch is a real artist. He's not some guy who makes a living selling stickers. And I posted it. I didn't respond to him blocking him, but I posted it on my stories on Instagram, and I said, no, you're wrong. I also sell prints, I sell pins, and I do commissions.
Right. And
I was like, get it right, asshole.
You have an Etsy store, too.
Yeah, now I have an Etsy store. Yeah, I have an Etsy store now.
There you go.
So take that, David Lynch. Take that guy I blocked like 2 years ago. I thought that was like but it was such a bizarre response.
Yeah,
like,
that is
like,
weird.
oh yeah, you're gonna say that about David Lynch? You're gonna post that David Lynch is aloof? You're just some guy that at least he made a Eraserhead. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, right.
Good point.
Well, all right, touche.
You got me. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna. I think these are interesting movies.
Yeah,
obviously.
Well, let's say. I mean, like,
I don't know what we'll do next. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure out that
but
next.
I definitely want to do Wild at Heart.
Yeah, I can keep that on the radar.
Year, yeah. Mm-hmm. Last year I feel like I like these movies we've been talking about. It's like, well, obviously the first one we did Mandalorian.
Sure. Had to be done.
It was a carryover from 2019.
Yes.
But yes, we had no choice. We had to talk about Baby Yoda.
Right.
We had no choice.
It was the way.
It was the way, yeah. Those little ears.
Oh man!
He looks up.
I've been reading these, and I know they're overdone or whatever. But the Baby Yoda Chicky Nuggies memes.
I hate that.
I love them. I know you hate. I can tell you hate them, but I was like,
can't stand them.
I can't get enough of them.
Yeah, it's not. That's ruining Baby Yoda.
Well, yeah, my wife hates them, but like me and my 9-year-old love them.
I will say though, if he eats a Chicky Nuggie in season 2,
yeah.
There you go, fans.
Right.
There you go, meme people.
Yeah.
So when we talked about Red Dawn,
yep.
When we talked about
Miracle Mile,
yep. We talked about Blue Velvet.
Yeah.
So I like these like different movies. It's like I felt like in the end we were talking way too much about fucking Star Wars.
Oh yeah, we went on a Star Wars roll.
Well, dominated things.
Yeah.
A lot of Marvel movies are on here.
Yep.
Like I want to take a break from that stuff. I like those episodes when we talk about like They Live and like I want to find those type of movies. There was a weird one I was thinking of doing. I'll have to think about it. There was a good one that I saw. Like I was like looking through things and I saw Blue Velvet was on Amazon Prime. I was like,
yeah, that's a great one.
Could be a good one. Oh well, yeah, we just talked about it. We just did a whole episode on it, Joseph. Where were you?
Well, no, that's a great idea.
Thanks, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
I'll thank Jeff Bezos, everyone.
I do like these because these are like all like Miracle Mile and Red Dawn and this. They're not science fiction per se, but they're like speculative fiction because they could happen.
Yeah, there's not. Yeah, they're fantastical, but they're not like spaceships.
Exactly. They're all grounded in reality.
But they're also fantastical.
Yes. Red Dawn, could it happen? I mean, I guess it's realistic in that it would never happen, but it could happen.
It's stupid.
Right. Would the events in Miracle Mile happen? Unlikely, but possible. And the same thing with...
Well, this movie is like... It's more of just like... This is the director.
Yeah.
This is like... This
is an aesthetic.
Art... This is like an art house type movie. It's like, it's an aesthetic. It's like, if you had someone else make Blue Velvet, it would just be it would just be like a whatever movie, It'd just be like imagine Blue Velvet made like 10 years earlier. It's just some low budget movie.
Yeah.
The plot and everything, it's not like that crazy, but it's just because of how this guy directs a movie.
Yeah.
How he does all the type of just the music and the pacing and the type of characters and that's what makes it stand out.
Well,
that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. It reminds me a little bit like The Big Sleep, the Raymond Chandler book, The Big Sleep. I think they made it into a movie with Humphrey Bogart, but it was basically this. I mean, it was like there's some porn in it. Like this guy would be like tricking women into doing porn and whatever. And we remember Body Heat, like that movie Body Heat was definitely in turn. This was, if it were in another, if it were another, Red from Us, if it were another director, it would have been more like The Big Sleep or Body Heat. But it wasn't. It was David Lynch, and now you got Blue Velvet.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, and if you explain the story in a basic way, like, it's not... It's
just a story,
It's just like some guy gets involved in some fucked up shit. And it's like a gangster move. He's someone who makes it different. He brings
it's the little details.
He brings,
The ear was cut off with scissors.
On anal nitrate. Was it
amyl nitrate?
Not anal nitrate.
Oh, anal nitrate. There you go.
Amyl nitrate. I just love though that
maybe wants anal.
Ew. Let's not end on that. I just love that you told me about how David Lynch he has like a weird voice, like he's like, I don't know, maybe it's like have you suck on helium? Right. And Dennis Hopper's like, no way, man. I've done all kinds of fucking drugs, man. Like I said, he just showed up on the set.
Could have been a pair of ragged claws.
Like he's like, I've done mescaline, man.
Yeah.
I've done. What's that one drug? It was in a. Was that the movie? Not Leaving Las Vegas. Fear and Loathing Las Vegas.
Oh, not peyote.
Which is the drug though, but it supposedly comes from like the spine of somebody. It was like in a movie where it's like a super illegal drug and acquired. But it requires like you're basically like ingesting something from a dead person.
Right.
It's like the ultimate high. Is that the drug that in that
sounds
movie?
Naked Lunchy, but I don't know.
Like it's like some something involved. Yeah, I don't know. All right. I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that?
Thank you for listening to You Still Going On About That. Please like, comment, share, and if you haven't done already, please follow us on Instagram, YSGoat, Facebook, YSGoat, and Twitter, YSGoat. Thank you, and have a great day.